is spicy. My tongue's on fire. I'm enjoying this episode of OrganBytes with this delicious food in front of me. Give me a while, I'll tell you where I am after this. Solid Indian food, every spice and ingredient you could ever need. I'm in the heart of Little India. Over here, the combination of sights, sounds, aromas and textures is guaranteed to stimulate your senses. There's the smell of jasmine, and this being the Deepavali season, the streets are full of vibrant colours and lights. Little India is also home to diverse religious places of worship. You'll find within walking distance at least one Chinese temple, a church, mosque and Hindu shrine, etc. This means that there is something happening here no matter the religious or cultural occasion. We will be going to one of the places of worship now. This place has its roots in a quaint little yellow building along Middle Road, and that building was known as the Christian Institute. It was used for worship and later as a Chinese restaurant during World War II, a car workshop after the war, and in more recent years as a gallery by various arts organizations. Still need a clue as to where we're going? Think about a famous hymn that has something to do with tongues. If there is a signature hymn for the Methodists, it would be "Oh for a Thousand Tongues to Sing." The organ we are looking for in this episode is in a Methodist church. To be precise, Kampong Kapor Methodist Church. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Chiang Ming Cheng, a church archivist who will share with us a bit more about the history of this place and the organ.
Hi, welcome to Kampong Kapor Methodist Church. I am Ming Cheng, the church archivist. With nearly 130 years of rich history, Kampong Kapor Methodist Church is the first Baba Malay Methodist church and one of the first Peranakan churches in Singapore. Allow me to show you around. Kampong Kapor Methodist Church began as a Malay language worship service for the Malay-speaking community in November 1890. The service was started by an Australian missionary to Singapore who was also the founder of several Methodist schools, Miss Sophia Blackmore, with the help of Captain and later the Reverend William G. Shelabert, an English officer in the Royal Engineers stationed at Singapore. The two were fluent in Malay and were concerned that there were no Malay Methodist worship service, so they started one in the Deaconess Home of the Methodist Women's Foreign Missionary Society at Sophia Road, in a small little study room on the ground floor measuring only 20 square meters. The worship service started with the girls who boarded at the Deaconess Home, members from the Epworth League, which was a Methodist organization for young men, employees from the nearby Mission Press, and a few interested outsiders. By 1894, the congregation had grown too big for the small study room, and the congregation moved to a slightly larger building in Middle Road. The church at Middle Road was known by several names: the Malay Church, the Baba Malay Church, and the Middle Road Church. Through the leadership of the Reverend William Shelabert and later the Reverend Goh Hood Keng, who was Singapore's first Straits Chinese to be ordained a Methodist minister, the congregation grew too big for the Middle Road premises and had to move again. The congregation moved to its current site in the heart of Little India in 1930. The building was built in a quasi-Art Deco design, incorporating elements from earlier styles of architecture such as the Gothic style, which is most clearly seen in the spire of the bell tower as well as the finials that occur on all the original facades of the tower. At the new site, it was originally named the Straits Chinese Methodist Church, Bishop Bickley Memorial, to reflect the largely Peranakan membership and the large donation which the family and friends of Bishop George Bickley made for this building. As the demographics of the congregation changed, it was necessary to rename the church according to its geographical vicinity. And so, in 1957, it became known as Kampong Kapor Methodist Church. Kampong Kapor Methodist Church is one of only 4 churches in Singapore with a working pipe organ. It was a gift from the Ladies' Aid Society of the church. In around 1931, funds were raised by the ladies in the church to purchase the pipe organ. Led by Mrs. Yap Peng Gek, who was the wife of a prominent banker and civic leader, the Ladies' Aid Society raised $5,500, which, when considering that a $15 salary at that time was a handsome one, would be equivalent to probably nearly $1 million today. The funds were raised over a period of 5 years, and in 1937, the pipe organ was installed and dedicated to the church. From the time the church sanctuary at Kampong Kapor was completed in 1930, the church has had an active music program. The choir director then was Miss Irene Chapman, and later Miss Lila Corbett, both American missionaries. The leadership of the choir made evening services very popular with the young people and drew a large congregation. This was what motivated the Ladies' Aid Society to provide the newly completed sanctuary with a pipe organ to lend further dignity to the church services. Indeed, the pipe organ is used for worship and church events by all 4 language congregations of the church: English, Mandarin, Tamil, and of course, Baba Malay. Built by Walker and Taylor of Lincoln, England in 1936, the original pipe organ had only 8 stops. Since then, it has undergone multiple expansions. In 1980, Mr. Anthony Welby from Australia added a 3-rank mixture which was made in Ireland. That year, to inaugurate the organ, physicist and composer Professor Bernard Tan composed a piece entitled Short Suite for Organ. In 1987, when the church sanctuary was renovated, famous philanthropist, architect and businessman Mr. Albert Hong and his wife funded the addition of more ranks of pipes in memory of his mother. The late 1990s saw several additions and changes to the pipe organ. In 1996, platforms were added, and in 1998, several stops were replaced. Then, in 1999, the church sanctuary had to be closed for emergency repairs. The church took this opportunity to extend the pipe organ and replace entire ranks of pipes. Again, funding was provided by Mr. and Mrs. Albert Hong. The last improvements made to the pipe organ were in 2003 and 2004. To date, the pipe organ has 24 stops. There are 19 metal pipes visible on its facade. Complementing the Art Deco style of the interior of the church sanctuary, the pipe organ stands prominently in the front, behind the altar, allowing its grand notes to resonate throughout the sanctuary, into the streets, turning all eyes to God in worship. It has withstood a world war, riots, and other calamities, and stands as a testament of God's grace through the women of the church to the community for the generations to come.
Hello, I'm Chetway. Today we're at the only pipe organ in the Methodist Church in Singapore. We can listen to the lovely sound of the organ in the following two arrangements set to Wesleyan hymn texts that are well known in the Methodist circles. First is Gibbons' Song 34, an Old English tune used in Forth in Thy Name. Set by English composer Charles Villiers Stanford, the tune is heard in the pedals, which uses a principal 8-stop borrowed from the Great Division, coupled to the pedal Baudon 16. The piece starts quietly, builds up in the middle, and ends peacefully. Next, we have Come O Thou Traveller Unknown. Set to a Scottish melody, the American composer Michael BURKHART uses arpeggiated chords in a higher register to accompany the melody. On this organ, we will be using the principal 8-stop for the melody. In the middle section, the tune then moves to the lower register before ending with a recap.